So, we're here at For the Record with Dylan.
Yes, Dylan
and Wesley.
Johnson.
Yep.
Make sure I'm holding the scroll.
Yeah. So we're in Florence, Alabama this weekend. We planned the trip around being in Florence for Shoals Fest, and then they announced that it wasn't happening this year because I think Jason's super busy with a load of other stuff. But it's great because we're going to be at a show here tonight with your band, actually.
Yes.
Dylan, yeah.
We're called Yes Trespassing, when is this interview going to be out?
This will be out probably in the next 2 days.
Okay, yeah.
So,
We're called Yes Trespassing. It's on his shirt too.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you want me to I'll let you take the wheels.
Yeah, I'll set it up a little bit. So we've been, we were just chatting to you, we're sort of traveling across the US, visiting independent venues in different cities. And it was like driven off of the back of what happened during COVID and, independent venues really struggling. And we, run a music website, and that worried us quite a lot because these venues are kind of key for new musicians, for all musicians really, and audiences. So that's the basis, the background to what we're doing. And we were kind of delighted when we were going to be in Florence to find out that this place is open, because Florence, I might be wrong, it didn't seem to have does it have many venues, independent venues?
No, but
yeah.
that's exactly why we opened this place.
Yeah.
And I can't, we haven't been open long enough to have been affected by COVID.
Yeah.
But I can't speak directly on what it's like to be a touring musician directly affected by COVID.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest reasons that we opened this place.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're there's Lava Room, there's us, and then there's a new place about to open up called Vivian Theater.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if they're gonna do original bands, cover bands.
Yeah.
But in terms of seeing live original music, where you would typically, if you went to Chicago, if you had gone to the Elbow Room, for example,
yeah, you
would see 3 bands.
Yeah.
And each one of them would play for about an hour. That's kind of the only place in this town where you can do that is Lava Room or us.
Yeah.
And everywhere else, they'll have stages, but it's most likely a cover band plays for 3 hours, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just some people seek original music.
Original music. I think a lot of people do these, and it's kind of crazy to me, given this town and the proximity to such deep music history of the area, that it's taken so long for a music venue like yours to open up. Yeah.
Well, so it's actually kind of wild. There has been, I think, I don't know the specifics because I've been here for 4 years, but there have been waves of music venues opening and closing in this town. At one point, my singer Trey, I think he told me that there was 4 music venues at one point that were just open.
Yeah.
And before us, there was a place that was doing music called Dorm 11. It was in Sheffield.
Yeah.
But they weren't open all the time. They were just open if somebody booked a show.
Okay.
And they didn't have a liquor license, so it was just beer and wine.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think they just had beer. Maybe they had wine too. But the guy who owned it lived in Nashville, and I guess he just got I can't speak on his behalf, but maybe he just didn't want to make the drive anymore or something. But yeah, I think in terms of being I don't know for sure, but I think we're the first full service bar, full music venue with being open 6 days a week that you could just come into and hang out and drink. Yeah. Because I know that a lot of the other music venues, they were open, but there were maybe record stores too, which is really cool. Yeah. But I think I might be absolutely wrong. Like I said, I have not been here more than 4 years. Yeah. So.
So you're a venue where, even if there's not a band on, the bar's open and people can come in.
Yeah, we open at 5 o'clock every day. We'll be open at 5 o'clock today, and we're actually we have neighbors upstairs
Yeah.
that are offices, and we've been trying to, at least on the weekdays, be like, what's the word I'm looking for? Accommodating.
Yeah.
Accommodating to that. So we're gonna run sound check today at 5.
Yeah.
And the doors will be unlocked.
Yeah.
But we don't like advertise that because we don't want people knowing hearing sound check is not always ideal. You know what I mean? Because it's like it can be kind of annoying. And we like to hit people in the face as soon as we get on stage. But I mean, at 5 o'clock today when we open, we will be doing sound check.
You'll be doing it, and people can come in and have a beer and watch you do it.
Yes,
if they want.
They do,
yeah. So how do you two know each other?
We went to high school together.
Okay, and then you moved. So you've only been in Florence 4 years.
Yeah.
And where were you from originally?
God. I was born in Florida.
Yeah.
And then my family, I think John just drove by. No, that was like really bad to say that.
No,
that is John. Sorry, that's my bass player.
Oh, is that you?
Yeah. But yeah, I'll start over.
Yeah.
So I was born in Florida. My family moved to Chicago for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then moved to Colorado.
Okay.
And then moved to Birmingham, Alabama. And then my mom moved back to Florida. And then I went to school with him, because I moved in with my dad in a different part of Birmingham. And I met him in 8th grade. And then after I graduated, I moved to Atlanta. And then I moved to Florida. And then I moved here.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, so I moved back to Florida, but on the East Coast this time.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and then I met Trey and John and Emmett, and then Wesley was living in Cleveland at the time, and I called him with an idea, and he was going to move back here anyway, or move to Birmingham anyways, because he moved up to Cleveland to accept a job. And as soon as he got there, COVID happened, so he was working from his apartment.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm just going to go back home if I can work remotely. But instead, he came here, and then Wesley had the idea of opening a music venue up because he noticed that the band I was playing with, our first show was actually in Florida.
Yeah.
Because there was nowhere to really play here.
Yeah.
And then we started doing house shows. And at one point, it became too many people started showing up to the house shows, and I was worried about, because we weren't just doing it in our house, it was our bass player's dad's house, or Ivy Manor, the studio we recorded at is a house and a studio, and we actually did a house show inside of Ivy Manor, and the next day we came back to help clean up, and I guess people had jumped so hard that all the pictures on the wall were crooked. Oh, shit. And we started being concerned about people's other people's stuff.
Yeah.
None of us lived in a house big enough to do that, so we always borrowed somebody else's.
That's the best way to do it. Don't use your own house.
I remember at one point we actually played outside Ivy Manor. If you haven't seen it, it's a beautiful place. You guys should go check it out while you're here. Chances are Gary will probably be there anyways. He's always there. Yeah. And you can look on the website, and I think there's a phone number you can call and just say, hey, I want to tour the studio. Yeah. And it's really beautiful. It's like a whole compound. Yeah. And there's an outdoor patio. And at one point we played on it, and we had a band open for us from Florida called NAUM. Yeah. It's NAUM. And they're dude, they're so good. And they opened up and they crushed it. And we were like, all right, now it's time for us to get on and do something and try to outplay can I cuss?
Yeah, of course.
Kind of outplay what the fuck just happened, because that was insane. And it's literally as soon as we started playing, it started pouring down rain. And everybody that was there for the show jumped in and helped. We had a whole sound system set up outside. And they all jumped in and helped us break down the drums, guitar, amp, sound system, and we got it inside in 2 minutes. But we were all super soaked. Yeah. So we went inside. Emmett and Trey got some acoustic guitars out. Told everybody to take their shoes off and sit down in the living room. Yeah. And then we set up a little drum set that wasn't the one I was using, because that one was wet. Yeah. And John grabbed a bass from the studio, and we finished our show acoustically. For the people, we just did a little a little thing for them because they had come out, and we were like, we're gonna give them a show.
Nice.
It's not gonna be the same show you expected, but we're gonna give them one. And I think that was like the first indication of like, okay, something has to be done here. Like we can't just keep doing this.
We need to have a place.
Yeah, we need to have a place that we can rely on. It's like if we want to play a show, it's there.
Yeah. So Wesley, are you a musician as well, or
so?
Sorry.
Yeah, so I play keys. I play keys.
Yeah.
I'm not in any bands or anything. I don't play with any groups. Mostly just for fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing keys for basically my whole life, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then it's like Dylan said. I came down here just to move in with him and be his roommate, and I was working remotely.
Yeah.
And I was surprised when there weren't any music venues. I was like, oh, I'm moving to the Shoals area. I'm going to see some live music, and there was really no place for that.
Yeah.
So.
And that was the driver, like, behind you guys doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like this town needs it. The bands need it, the musicians need it. So
the people need it.
The people need it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I talk a lot when we've done these interviews and on the site, like, about how hard it was for the venues, and it was. I mean, COVID was a killer, right? Like, not only were they closed down, but like they had all their pre-ticket sales that they'd sold. They've got staff on the payroll and stuff. But also, it was killer as a fan, because I mean, what we do with a website, we're at live music all the time, like all the time. And you don't realize how important it is to you until it gets taken away. Like just that kind of like pressure release valve or whatever you want to call it. But like going to see live music is a huge part of my life. And that 18 months or whatever it was during COVID was horrible.
Yeah, one thing I'll comment on that is like you said you play in bands.
I play a bit as well.
So like the feeling of like, it's one thing for somebody to not be able to go see a band.
Yeah.
But as a band, it's even more hurtful that you can't play.
Yeah.
Because it's like an itch you can't scratch.
Yeah, it really is.
You're practicing all year and you're like finally ready to throw down, and then there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we were doing house shows against the law.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people ended up doing it. They were just like, we're going to play.
Yeah, and like the thing is like, to be honest, it's not like we thought, oh, we won't get sick.
Yeah.
We were just like, in my mind, we were like, dude, I could die in a fucking car crash tomorrow. I'm going to play this fucking show. Like I would rather risk it and do what I love than sit at home and do nothing. Because like there's 6 million ways to die anyways.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like.
I think a lot of people did it, and then it was like, and then people got like really creative, right? Loads of musicians were doing like live stream shows, and then we had like, in Chicago, there were a couple of things where they did like parking lot shows, and then I remember going back to one of the first ones after, and it was before like all of the clubs fully opened again, and I remember we were it was like City Winery, Chicago or something for Davy Knowles, but they had like the tables were spaced out all over the room and everyone was in masks, and it was just weird. It was like we were
very, the thing is like, I think we had to, like, I'll say this. I come from skateboarding and like surfing and snowboarding. And one thing that skateboarders have always done is risk injury or death. Yeah. And so do surfers. So it's like risking death was nothing new to like this collective of people. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like you had to find the right people that wanted to show up, that were willing to risk death for something that they enjoyed. You know what I mean? Like, they would show up to a room, and none of them cared. They would all get all close together because they were like, you know what? Like, I'm going home. There's nobody at my house anyways. I'm only risking my own health.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I actually think, now that I think about it, I think that was one of the reasons that we played in Florida first, because the band formed in COVID. And we practiced and wrote music for 5 months before we ever did anything. Yeah. But that wasn't because of COVID. That was like, in our mind, it was like, we have the ability to do nothing for 5 months. So let's just write some music and get it together. And then Florida was like the only place where venues were open. So
everything stayed open in Florida, right? But it's kind of interesting. Like some people used it. I remember like when we got locked down with COVID, and I was remote working as well, like with my day job, and it was I was like, man, I'm gonna get like so much shit done. Like now, there's nothing else, and I got nothing done. Like I had all these like huge plans. I'm like, I'll have all this extra time because I travel a lot with my job and everything. And then when I was in it, I was just like, just sitting around, and I didn't get anything additional done. So it's good that you actually wrote some music during that period.
Well, it's like when it first started, I remember like one of my jobs was. Like I was training to be like a sushi chef.
Yeah.
Like, cause I had trained to do that in the past, and I hadn't met the band yet.
Yeah.
And like at this point, I was living up here alone and like didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And COVID happened, and they're like, all right, well, we need help washing dishes, and I was like, cool, like I need money.
Yeah.
Cause like my rent is still due, even though the world just shut down.
Yeah.
And so I got behind the dishwashing machine, and I was making like $200 a week.
Yeah.
And then like they were like, all right, for those that are unemployed, get $800 a week. And I was like, all right, well, I quit.
Yeah, like, I can make more from it.
Yeah, and I spent my first check on a surfboard. And I went down to Florida and surfed every single day as soon as the beaches were open. Because they actually did close, like Florida actually did close down.
Yeah.
And like the thing about it was too is like I'm in the ocean and I'm nowhere near anybody.
Yeah,
and
there's no one around you.
Yeah, so I was like, screw it. So, and I know a lot of people that were like hopping over gates. That were like they had locked the beach down. They were hopping over gates and they were jumping in the water and paddling out.
Yeah.
And cops would pull up and wait for them to come back in.
Really?
And like they would be out there for 3 hours and they would just sit there like looking at the cops like.
Yeah, I'm not
gonna, like, and like this, so I've seen videos of some of them like finally get to the beach and then they just take off running, and like the cop chases them, and they're like, "Dude, like why are you chasing me?" It's like I was the only person out there. It's like what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, that's a weird thing to close down, right? A beach, like where you can be miles apart from each other. So this place then, so you opened January this year. So how's it going? Like, are you enjoying being venue owners? I mean, it's like you guys are young to have like jumped into this business.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, and I don't think that it was possible for us to be prepared for.
You're pointing the mic away from
me. I don't think it was possible for us to be like properly prepared for what we had just taken on. But I mean, I do think that we've been doing a good job doing it, and we've maintained our sanity throughout it, so that's good.
Just
it's there. We've maintained it. But yeah, it's there's been so many unexpected challenges that people just don't ever think about when they.
What are the big challenges you would say of running a venue, like an independent venue?
Well, I'd say one of the biggest challenges was finding a sound system.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you're gonna do the music venue thing, you got to have a good sound system. And we had a lot of support from the community. So for the first 3 months, we actually were using the sound system of just a local musician.
Okay.
And that was a huge help before we finally pieced this one together.
Yeah.
That was the first big challenge. Another big challenge was just getting a liquor license, having the ability to make money.
Yeah.
While you do shows. Yeah, insurance, all of it.
And on top of that, can I add something?
Yeah.
So, of course, the phone rings. Should we wait for it to stop?
It's okay. Oh, it's still going. No, it's okay. We can keep going.
On top of that, we actually looked into it because, like both of us have lived like all over and been all over and seen all these different music venues and bars, and we were like, I'm curious if other states are this hard to get a liquor license, and like we Googled it, and actually I think was Alabama like number 2?
Alabama is it's the number 1 worst state.
Oh really?
Yeah, Alabama is the number 1 worst state to try to get a liquor license or open a bar, and it's funny because like there's like in Florida, for example, there's so many people trying to open bars because it's so lucrative. That like the liquor license is like a lottery system over there. Yeah. Like you have to you basically are like if you're 20 people apply, one gets it, and then if you don't get it, you basically have to go to a bar that's closing down and offer to buy their liquor license.
Or buy it as part of the business kind of thing. Yeah.
But it's still easier to get a liquor license in Florida than it is here. Yeah, so it was like on top of it being the worst state to try to get a liquor license, just the laws are so much more strict. We're also like 26, we were what, 25 at the time of when we were trying to apply. So they were like, well, what do you know about running a bar? And we're like, well, we each have tons of experience in the restaurant industry, the music industry, and on like just all this different kind of stuff. Like I have personally worked every position of a restaurant except for a host. Yeah. And it was like, I mean, we know what we're doing, and on top of that, like we're gonna hire bartenders. Like you know what I mean? It's not like you're not gonna be tending bar yourself. Yeah. And but we even told the ABC too is like our biggest priority here is, you know, the musical aspect of it. Yeah. And we were like, you know, we want to open a music venue, but we have to have a bar because it's the only thing that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Well, you can't make money in a venue like this, I don't think, without a bar. And it's, how do you find, like the other thing, talking to other venue owners, like a couple of them, it's interesting that like a lot of the owners we've spoke to do the booking as well. Oh yeah. Do you do the booking? Yeah. And how do you find that? Because like I was talking to the guy at the Token Lounge, and he's like, that's something, I was like, you must have he's owned that place for like 30 years. I was like, you must have got better at it over the years. He's like, no. It's like, he goes, like, there's a band can come in and they can bring in like 450 people, and I'm like, great, I'll book them again. And they come in like 8 months later and I get like 100 people in the bar, and he's like, I don't know what the difference is. That happens here. I've seen a band, this room is about, I'll say we could like comfortably fit 100 people in this room. Yeah. Uncomfortably 140. Yeah. And like our building capacity is 268. Yeah. And I've seen a band put like 100 people in this room. Yeah. And then they come back like 3 months later and there was 20. Yeah. And it was like, dude, what happened? Yeah. It was like, did your fan just lose interest? Yeah. And it's like, but the funny thing is like, that's happened to me. Yeah, yeah. With my band. Like we've made this room full and we played to nobody in the same room. In the same room. Yeah. That's what like, I
was just going to add one thing. Like the other side of that is, you know, sometimes you have bands where you don't expect a bunch of people to show up, and then there's 80 people. Yeah. So then we're blindsided and we don't have the bar staff, right? Yeah. And it's, you know, we've kind of given up on trying to estimate what the talent is how they're gonna respond to any sort of given show. It's like, always up in the air. Not
to make that worse, but that Johnny, the guy I talked to at Token Lounge in Detroit, like he said, because I was like, it must get easier, and he's like, no, it doesn't. That booking never. It just. But I mean, I guess there's so many things factor into it, right? Like, what night of the week is it that you book the band? Like, what their fans are doing that night. Is there some other event on it? All of that stuff factors into it, and it's just. But yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen it myself. Like you can go and see someone, and it's a sold out room, and you can go and see them, you know, exactly the same act, maybe even the same year, and it's just like dead, like crickets. It's nuts.
Well, I don't even think that's like, it's not even just on the venue. I think that's just music consumption as a whole. Yeah. Because like as a touring musician, I've seen that a lot in my life, no matter where I'm at. Yeah. And I just think that's the reality of it. Unless, and I say this unless you're like, you know, the Foo Fighters. Yeah. Like, you're not gonna put people in a room every time. No. But like even then, like the Foo Fighters go to DC and they play a stadium that holds 100,000 people and they sell it out. And the Foo Fighters just came to Birmingham. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but they played the Oak Mountain Amphitheater, which holds 8,000. Yeah. And I'm sure it was sold out. Like, but like my question is like, why didn't they go to the BJCC? Like, were they afraid to put people in the room in Birmingham? You know what I mean?
And not have it full. Also. Yeah.
So I mean, there's always going to be that reality for any artist. It's like, where is my demographic at?
Yeah.
Or like, what are they doing tonight is another great question.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the weird thing that surprisingly that I don't hear anybody talking about is the state that whatever the economy is in is like, is a direct factor to if people want to spend money at a bar or not, and like go see live music. There are some diehard concert goers that do not care.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, dude, even if eggs were like $20 a carton, they'd be like, all right, dude, so I've been surviving off eggs for 3 weeks, and I finally saved up enough money to go to the $10 show at For the Record. Yeah. And they would still show up.
They'd still come,
But like, I don't know, I think that that's a huge factor as well. So I mean, I don't know. It really depends, but I mean, I don't think that will ever change.
Yeah. And are you building like? Do you have regulars from the community now who are in the bar all the time who'll just come and watch whatever show is on? Yeah.
We have regulars that will come here every night. Yeah. And they just come here to say what's up. They'll come here to drink. They'll come here to hang out. Like so. Every Tuesday we have open mic. Yeah. Every last Tuesday of the month we have open jam where we do it on this stage.
Oh, nice.
Every Thursday we have karaoke, which is subject to change if bands start wanting Thursdays more often. Yeah. Like, I mean, overall we are here for music. Yeah. And Wednesdays, right now Wednesdays have been like, okay, for this, like for example, my band, we just did a residency here every Wednesday for free. Like we didn't charge people, we didn't make any money. Yeah. We just wanted to play every Wednesday. So we got on stage for 6 weeks straight. Yeah. And people came out because they were like, it's free, like I want to go see them play. And then we stopped, and then there's some other guys that are about to take over on some Wednesdays here. Yeah. So it's like, you never know what you're walking into when you walk in here. Like it could be something awesome. You know, or it could be just like a Monday night where it's like you walk in and we have Mario Kart on the projector on the Nintendo Switch, and they're like, oh shit, and they're like, dude, give me a whiskey and Coke, and they're like, and let me get that fourth controller. And like, because like people love just hanging out here, you know what I mean?
But that's and that was the other thing, and that's like a good way to bring it round to the end of the interview, I guess, because like at the start when I was saying about what worried me, like on that interview I did with Independent Venues Association, when they were saying venues are, you know, a lot of these venues might go out of business if they don't get the federal support. I'm like, man, those places, these places are so important just to the community generally, right? Exactly for the reasons you've just said, right? Mm-hmm. You're open all week. You know, you've got some people on your open mic night might like take their first step onto a stage and sing in front of an audience, even if it's only like 10 people for the first time. Like, you can't underestimate how important that is. That person might go on to do something huge as a musician, and you've given them their starting point. But if it's not here, if this place isn't here, then they don't get to do that.
And I have had people come up to me and tell me that when we opened up, this is the first time that they've come out to hang out somewhere in like 3 years. Yeah. And they were like, and I haven't played music live for like 6. Yeah. And they were like, and now it's like, they say that they come here and they do it all the time now. Yeah. And it's like, and I'm not giving us credit to that. It's more of the fact that a place like this exists for them to do it. It's not like if it wasn't us, it would be somebody else. Yeah. But like, you're right. You know, people need something like this, especially musicians, especially people that love music. But the weird thing is I think one of the biggest problems is that people take music for granted. Yeah. And it's like a really, really nice thing that you don't understand how beautiful it is until it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And then as soon as as soon as it's gone, it's like, I have nowhere, like there's no bands playing tonight. What am I doing? Yeah. And you all of a sudden miss it, but then it's the circle of life. It opens up and they're like, oh, that was cool. And then, you know. It's
and then like, oh, but I'm a bit busy tonight. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, hopefully if people watch these interviews, it's like, I'd encourage everyone to just go. Like, don't even, that's the other thing. I mean, sometimes I'm like, if you've got a great venue near you, just go down there one night. Don't even look at what's on.
Right.
You might go down there and have the best night of your life. You might see a band that you'd never even heard of before and be like, holy shit, like there's no better feeling than that.
Or you might hear the worst band
you
ever
might
heard, and then you have a story.
Yeah, and you have a story.
Or
you're like,
this band was so bad.
Yeah, or you're like, I can do better than those guys, and then you learn like you can. Yeah.
I'll leave you with this. Think about how many times a day that like you listen to music.
Yeah.
Think about how many times like you pull up to a coffee shop, you're like, all right, let's get some work done. You plug in your headphones, turn music on.
Yeah.
You get in your car to leave the coffee shop, you turn music on.
Yeah.
You get home, time to cook dinner, you turn music on. It's like people don't realize how much the world needs music.
It really
and now
does.
think about how many hours those musicians put into making the music that just filled your day.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if you don't know what's happening, you're right. Just come out, support, and just be there for it, because without that support, artists cease to exist.
Yeah, they do. And they're not going to, like artists as well, I mean, we're talking about the venues, but, you know, artists these days, with the way that streaming is going and everything like that, which is like a fucking disgrace, like what people get paid for stream music. Like they're only making money from touring, and it's like they can't tour if there's nowhere to play. Like that's
I've ran into that before.
So like I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you've opened a place here, because like I said, it did surprise me the few times we've been, and like we've just purely through Jason putting on the festival here, I don't know that we'd have come to Florence otherwise. And it's just a great town. Like we've come back, we hang around after Shoals Fest in like Alabama, and we've been different places. So yeah, it's.
And I'll tell you, I have been to over 30 states playing music, and like I know that's not like a lot compared to a lot of other musicians.
Yeah.
But I've seen so many bands in my life, and I've seen more like talented bands in this town than I've ever seen traveling somewhere else. And it's not even just this, it's like the people that come here.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like I know bands from Nashville that come here, but I didn't know about them until they came here.
Yeah.
And they're amazing. And I have friends from, like I got a friend from Chicago playing tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's amazing. So it's like, I think this town just like draws people in that are musicians, and it's incredible. And I mean, honestly, like without support, we'll get another mumble rap phase. God knows we don't need that shit, dude. Like I'm all for rap, man. I just can't stand mumble rap. It's like I was raised on Wu-Tang and Common. It's like I need the real shit. Like where it's like it's not even just rap though. It's like all the pop music is shit now. It's like, dude, the pop music 20 years ago was Prince. It's like, where the fuck did that energy go?
It'll come around again. It's like you say about, you know, the whole circle. I'm sure it'll come back. It'll come back.
But I mean, dude, without the support, it makes it harder for those good ones to come.
It really does. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time, because I know you're busy around here today as well. So, thanks for like interviewing with us, and we'll be here tonight to see the band.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.